Joining us in the Informer studio, the man from the Daily Mail, our correspondent. He's our man at large, and he's been busy running around the city and running around the state. In fact, his name is Wayne Flower. What have you made of the last couple of weeks? It's been the most intense time, just as Melbourne is starting to open up and people are getting back to some semblance of life. Story after story after story.
Yeah, it's been quite chaotic. You know, I was thinking I'd be glad to see the back of COVID, but after the week or so we've had, you almost think, geez, I wish I was doing COVID stories again.
Now, of course, you've been across the young woman who was murdered in her own bedroom by a former work colleague. Is it fair to say that?
Well, that's the allegations at this stage.
We don't know
he
that.
still hasn't been charged.
Identified?
But Celeste Manno was murdered inside her bedroom in Mernda on early hours of Monday night. An individual by the name of Louis Sarko went and with his hands up and surrendered to police just around the corner from where Miss Mano lives, and has been in under police guard at hospital ever since, and he's still yet to be charged. But the allegations are that he had been stalking Miss Mano since he got fired. He used to work with her at a call centre there. She had shown him some kindness at the time, and the family claims that he became just completely obsessed
and possessed, huh?
Started.
Did she take out or have an AVO out on him?
Yeah, she had an intervention order out on him in March this year. I believe that was issued to him. So just as we were going into lockdown, he received an intervention order. My understanding is he breached it repeatedly. During COVID, the bail conditions were a little bit softer because you couldn't go and physically report. Anyway, he's been done again for breaching that. He has 2 matters pending at the Heidelberg Magistrates Court in February. Of course, they're the least of his concerns now because he's looking at a murder charge. But as it stands, he's still in hospital. So. And
we've lost another young woman.
Yeah, I mean, the family are obviously very, very upset, distraught. They've out at the scene. They've called on the Victorian government for change on the way we deal with breaches of intervention orders, stalking charges. One of her uncle...
Do you think anything can be done?
Well, her uncle actually, when I was out there, mentioned Jill Ma. We all remember that case. How can all these years later this stuff still be happening? But you know, I wish I could answer the question, but we can't. I mean, we saw Dean Laidley, the former
Melbourne footballer, yes,
champ, in court this week as well on stalking and breach of intervention order charges.
So what's the scenario there?
Very serious. He spent at least 9 days in jail at the time back in, I think it was May this year as well. 9 days in jail. Of course, we know that the photograph of him unfortunately was leaked by police, causing him some major distress. But when you put that to one side, they were very serious allegations against Dean Laidley. Masses
Maybe
of
the
calls.
magistrate has seen fit to try and be as supportive as possible, perhaps?
Well, yeah, he's praised Dean Laidley for all the efforts he's gone to rehabilitate himself since that time, and gave him a chance without conviction, good behaviour bond for 18 months. So, I mean, you might say that's a good result for Dean Laidley in his rehabilitation. I'm not sure if you're a victim of a similar sort of stalking incident, whether you'd be so pleased.
Now, it's been a really big news day. We've already seen the head of Defence Forces in Australia, the ADF, come out and unreservedly apologise for the actions of 19 members of staff who face something in the vicinity of 39, 40 charges against what they did in Afghanistan. And we've also seen the final decision handed down of the inquiry into the Gargasulis attack in Burke Street.
Yeah.
What, almost a year ago?
Yeah. Well, no, that attack actually happened in, I think it was 2017.
Is it three years ago?
My,
how time flies.
Time flies. So the inquiry started.
Has it taken that long to resolve this, to finally get an outcome?
It has. Of course, Gargasoulas got life in jail for doing that, but of course there was a lot of answers, well, a lot of questions that needed to be answered about how did it happen, and today the coroner released their findings, scathing of the way Victorian police handled that takedown. The short version is they had ample opportunity to take him down. They should have taken him down. They shouldn't have allowed him to get into the city. He'd been cruising all over Melbourne on it, and what the police were following him. You know, they were just tailing him. They didn't actually initiate a pursuit.
Why didn't they just intervene?
Well, at the time, you would have talked to any policeman at the time, they were very reluctant to initiate pursuits. There'd been a lot of sort of press and people, cars had crashed, people had died because the police had been chasing them. So at the time, police were terrified to actually put their foot on an accelerator. The one time they put their foot on the accelerator, the computer in that car would tell police that you initiated a pursuit. Why did you do that? And that was the culture.
Hard to justify.
That was the culture at the time.
Have things changed? Or are they likely to change following the recommendations handed down by the inquiry?
Yeah, the coroner has made 9 further recommendations. I think largely a lot of the issues that they had with Gargasoulas have thankfully been resolved, but the damage is clearly done. All we can hope is that from this report that
people still live with the scars from that day, 3 years on. Hard to believe.
Absolutely.
Wayne Flower, thank you very much for joining us. If you want to know more about the stories that Wayne Flower has been talking about, either catch up with the latest on the Daily Mail or follow us online at TheInformer.tv.